Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So this is gonna be a quick guide. This is a Patreon request, somewhat a meme build. So if you are looking for some fun, if you want to do a mapper character, this build is shit at bosses. I killed a couple of those, Formed, Guardians, Maven, I believe also Cirrus, those kind of stuff you can kill, but the DPS is not good. Because this is a brain rattler build, yes. So heads off to the guy who suggested this weapon. I was like, okay, what do you want? He said, yes, I want brain rattler. I like non-meta unique items, those kind of stuff. And I asked the guy, what kind of skills you want to see? Do you also want a non-meta skill? He just listed a couple of skills. Some of them were spell. Probably he didn't think about brain rattler at that moment. But there was actually a ground slam, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a brain rattler ground slam, no matter how shit it's gonna be. But at least the build has a purpose. I just went for a mapper character instead. That can also kill Guardians, Conquerors if you just see them while doing your maps, you know. You can just find those maps from maps bosses. Maybe you do Kirak missions, alright. The character is not super tank, but is not super squishy. I have like 77 resistances, good armor, more than 20k. Also evasion. This character uses both determination and grace aura at the same time. For DPS I'm using red aura, also blood and sand because Grand Slam is an AoE skill. So yeah, the character is not squishy, also fortify, but because this is a lightning skill and also I don't know, a skill that doesn't have much CC, let's say if lots of monsters attack you at the same time in a shitty map maybe, you may die, especially in Harvest, because Harvest is simply overtuned, I believe. Once you just, you know, click the whatever that is, flowers, whatever, sometimes shit ton of monsters with elite spawn at the same time, you can just die. So yeah, those kind of stuff is not good with this build, but for overall mapping, tier 16 farms, Harbinger, Ambush, I haven't tried much Legion, I'm not using any Inspire Learning, those kind of stuff. So yeah. Definitely a good ground slam mapper if you are looking for something like that. Also, because the weapon was slow, I actually did a self-chill slayer. So the guide begins now. So first of all, let's take a look at the weapon, alright. Double damage on the implicit, good for DPS obviously. 50% physical damage convert to lightning damage. So this is a conversion build. The weapon has some decent physical damage, but we are going to convert everything to lightning. So this is going to be a lightning build in the end. Shock enemies as though dealing 300% more damage. So this means that, let's give an example. If this weapon didn't have this, maybe you will shock for 30% damage taken. Alright, but because we have this, your hits actually gets calculated as if they were 300% more damage dealing, whatever. Alright, you get the idea. So you can easily shock for 50%. Even the bosses, endgame bosses, they get shocked for 50%. That is the maximum value. There's actually some mastery on the talent tree which increases the shock amount to 60%. But because this is a melee build, this is a duelist build, those masteries are so far away, I couldn't get any of those. So yeah, 50% shock on everything. Penetrates 20% lightning resist, and some other stuff that reduces cast speed, movement speed, which is not that bad. So the rest of the conversion comes from glows. Let's just take a look at that. You want to buy a glows with physical damage convert to lightning. As a veiled option, actually this is cheaper and easier to craft and buy, let's say. It is actually 20-25%, something like that, if you put it from crafting bench. But if people just identifies an item and puts it to June's inventory, you know, the unveiling page, you can actually unveil items for higher percentages. All right, so that is how you can get a 35%, up to 35% conversion glows. Because these glows also have no influence, you can just use the new influence orbs, Searing Exarch and Eater of Words to put even more conversion. So that is how I completed that 50%, rest of the 50% of the conversion. If you have any other ways to do that, you can do that. You can even again just buy a random glows and put the conversion yourself, but it is 25%, so you may miss a little bit percentage. I actually used the sheet tier orb, let's say, so I put only 15% conversion, but actually it goes up to 25, something like that. So yeah, just figure that conversion, and 90% is enough. Just go for that 100% if you want more DPS, but again this build has shit post DPS, something like 5 million I believe. Also Intimidate, that is nice. You can even use Intimidate in Cry if you want, but I just went for Intimidate. Yeah, just use those orbs. This is an attack build, so on some of your pieces you might need some accuracy. Because the rings are going to be uniques, you should definitely put accuracy on your gloves or amulet. Or maybe use a higher level precision, or figure that out on your talent tree maybe. Make sure you have 100% hit chance. Also keep your resistances, so that is not crazy with the gloves. Let's just finish the rare pieces first, because most of the items are actually uniques. Boots, again a good place to keep your resistances. Life, this was super cheap under an Exalt. Because I also put effect of non-damage ailments. That is another veil modifier that can also exist on Redeemer items, I believe. But you cannot use the new Searing Exarch, those orbs on that boots actually, because that is another influence to Redeemer. But I didn't put much crazy stuff, just physical extra lightning for some additional DPS and just to keep my resistances. It is actually hard to keep resistances on this build, so you may want to use maybe more rare jewels on the talent tree. Maybe other than a Watcher's Eye maybe, because I have a cheap Watcher's Eye also. So yeah, it is a little hard to keep. I am also using Alira as Bandit. I don't do that much these days because I just went for more skill points. But yeah, it was a little hard to keep resistances because most pieces are uniques. Move speed, that's it. Non-damage effect, what is that? Effect of non-damage ailment. Yeah, that is important. You should definitely put that on your boots, and also there is a mastery on the talent tree. Do not miss that, because we want that 50% shock and chill effect, because this is a self-chill build. I'm gonna explain that in a second after the last rare piece. Amulet. This character will need some dex and intelligence, so make sure you put some of those on your amulet. This was again under an Exalt. I also put crit multiplier because this is a crit build. You can put elemental damage with attacks also, maybe flat lightning or physical damage, because that will also get converted to lightning in the end. Life, resistances if you still need. A single mana cost reduction on my amulet because my rings are unique. That definitely helps. Maybe you can play without that. I actually haven't tried that, but because I don't know, we have plenty of mana left, maybe you don't even need that. So just maybe try another amulet first. If you need that mana cost reduction, maybe buy something else. But again, these kind of amulets are cheap because no one uses those. So yeah, let's explain self-chill right now. After that, I'm gonna explain the rest of the items. So because this is a slow weapon, I wanted a fast character. Slayer is a fast character because he has access to good attack speed and overleech effects. So that's why I am using 2 large clusters. With the Fury Fuel to fight Martial Prowess. These are common. They are like 2.5 Exalt each right now. So it's gonna cost you 5 Exalt for both clusters. Actually, the items, the equipment I'm wearing is super cheap. Under 10 Exalt. I just paid extra for the jewels. So the build in the end costed me around 20 Exalt. The guy said something like 30 Exalt budget. So I just spent somewhere between 15 and 20 Exalt. Because I didn't want to spend more for a shit weapon build. Yeah. So good way to increase attack speed and damage with these clusters. Because Slayer has unending overleech. What is that? Overleech effect, let's say. So even if you are at full health, you actually still leech. So that's why these bonuses are up all the time. Very good DPS. So because I wanted more attack speed, I went for self-chill. So how does that work? So there are a couple of ways to do that. I actually haven't played any self-chill build in my life. So this was the first time. I was like, okay, this weapon is slow. I'm gonna do this for sure. So the method I used is a Venopuncture ring and Winterweave ring. These rings are like a couple of chaos each. Super cheap. I just went for some corruptions because I'm using Red Aura, lightning damage aura. I just went for Red Aura effect. They were like 50 chaos each. No one plays those, you know, I just offered and bought them. So 2 rings didn't cost even 1 Exalt with the corruptions. You can get another corruption, maybe another aura. I believe there are resistance corruptions, so that can also be good, but I'm not sure right now if they even exist, because I haven't even used anything like that ever. So if there are other good corruptions, consider those. Because Red Aura effect in the end, it doesn't even provide that much DPS, because the character's DPS is not that good. Let's say I have 5 million DPS, I went for, okay, this is good. The DPS goes up to 5.1 million. You won't even notice it, because this is a shit weapon and a low DPS build in the end. Unfortunately, elemental 200 builds are super shit in this game, because this is also a maze. So yeah, why am I even playing this? Thanks to the guy who became my Patreon and suggested this maybe. Alright, so how self-shield works. So let's just check the Winter Weave ring. The effect of chill on you is reversed. So normally chill is a debuff that comes from cold damage, obviously, that actually reduces your action speed. So it is actually a reverse tailwind effect, so your character becomes slower. Both attack speed, movement speed, and other kind of maybe trap throwing, mine throwing speed, I believe they all get affected because it lowers your action speed, not attack speed or anything. So everything becomes slower. So if you reverse that, it means that it is a positive buff for you. So it is like another tailwind effect. I don't have tailwind because that's gonna be expensive, but we instead have chill. So you want to have that non-damage ailment effects from your boots and talent tree. If you know anything else to put those, you can go for that. The maximum chill effect, I believe, is 30%. I managed to get 17%, which is like the half of it. But you can just immediately notice that effect once you get yourself chilled. You also want to use a replica hot-headed jewel. Once you are chilled, you get attack speed, cast speed, movement speed, super important. This is with good rolls, this jewel was like 40 chaos. The shit rolls are 5 chaos. So super cheap, go and get one immediately. So how to apply chill to yourself. Venopuncture ring. You are chilled while you are bleeding. So this means that I need to get myself bleeded first. Then I'm getting chilled thanks to the ring. But the ring actually doesn't let you get yourself bleeding, you know. And one final item. Golden Rule Jewel. This is another 1 chaos item. Bleeding you inflict is reflected to you. Alright. So once I attack, I have 25% chance to cause bleeding because of the venopuncture ring. If you want more chance to get, more chance to bleed, maybe get some points on talent tree, but it's gonna be waste. Because sometimes if you attack a single pack, you don't apply any bleeding if the RNG doesn't kick, sometimes you miss that buff, but self shield lasts for 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. So it is normally up most of the times. But if you want a faster kick, maybe get more bleed somewhere else. I don't know if you want that. So yeah, if 25% chance to bleed yourself, golden rule lets you bleed yourself instead. Bam, venopuncture works. You are chilled while you are bleeding. How are we not dying to bleed? Because this is Slayer. He has a passive, Endless Hunger. Cannot be stunned while leeching, attack speed, and unaffected by bleeding. It doesn't say immune to bleed. It means that you actually still get bleeding, but you are unaffected. It doesn't hurt you. So that is how the synergy works. That is how the self shield works. Final items, Impulsa for explosion. That is how you can make a better mapping character. Gorgeous explosions. Make sure you reroll the maps that have what is that? Avoid ailments, something like that. Avoid elemental ailments. So you cannot actually apply shock, so you cannot actually explode, because it is like 70% on red tier maps, and with the non-effect modifiers on the talent tree, I believe it goes up to 90 something percent. So you miss most of your shocks. Your mapping starts to feel shit without the explode. So definitely reroll those maps, alright? Also cannot leech. Definitely reroll that. You will just die maybe, because none of the overleech effects will work. You will also get yourself bleeding, and you are also gonna die to bleed maybe. So cannot leech. No regeneration maybe. Avoid ailments, so definitely roll those maps. Abyssus, we are already super tanky against physical damage, more than 20k armor. I believe sometimes you even get endurance charges, but I forgot right now. And also, what is that? Fortify, overleech effect, reduce damage taken while leeching, those kind of stuff. So you won't have any problems with Abyssus. Also, because this was a shit weapon, this is definitely a must. For the enchant, this was super cheap. Ground Slam has 24% angle, so more AoE actually. Maybe just go for a labyrinth service provider, and maybe you need to pay more, because I don't know if this enchant exists that much. It was like 50 chaos. A couple of people were selling it, and I just bought it. Blood and Sand effect can also be good, even for more AoE and DPS, but angle might be better in the end. So definitely try one of those enchants. Final item, Rattler coil belt, because this is a physical build that gets converted to lightning. This actually works. More maximum physical is important. Less minimum actually lowers your DPS, so try to get a lower one. If you have any problems keeping your resistances, consider buying a corrupted Reslata coil with all element implicit, all element resist implicit. Maybe you can do that. And that's gonna be pretty much it about the build. I don't want to explain much. This was enough. I already explained self shield, the weapon, whatever. If you want more of these crazy builds, you can become a Patreon member to support me, and so I can also make these kind of shit builds, because I believe people just want to waste their money. Why did you even want a brain Rattler build to start with, you know? I was expecting a good build maybe. It is. So one final thing, yeah, let's just talk about it, because I considered that but haven't tried it, because that's also gonna be maybe more expensive. If you want a better DPS with this weapon for some reason, probably you should try Dorian's prototype build. Lower those lightning resistances so you can deal more DPS. So you can probably achieve 10 million DPS at least with that setup, but still shit DPS. So if you want to do that, if you guys are crazy, you can just, if you know what you are doing, let's say, try to do a Dorian prototype build. But this was a mapper build in the end, under 20 Exile with the jewels. Again, it is actually 10 Exile, 15 Exile, something like that. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. More guides are obviously coming. I have a couple of more mapping builds these days with some low boss DPS, but again can still do, you know, Shaper, Guardians, those kind of builds. A cheaper builds, let's say, because I just put a couple of expensive builds. I have another all content build coming soon for Templar, actually, a self-cast spell build. All content build that no one even plays. It's a new energy, new build, let's say. Thanks for watching. I will see you later. Bye bye.